Hare Krishna.
Thanks.
Thank you so very much for coming this beautiful evening program here. Our regular Saturday mantra Oasis is on the move. It travels from house to house, family to family, community to community to spread the holy name of God. And especially in Kali Yuga, we are very much crippled by knowledge. We cannot meditate for a long time going to Himalayas. We cannot study the Vedas. We do not know any knowledge about Sanskrit. And by so many ways we have been weakening. So in order to rise our consciousness from these falling states, we need to chant the holy name of God. This is the only means to rise our consciousness. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam. Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyatha. Kalo Sangha Upanishad says that in this age of Kali, the only means of deliverance is to chant the holy name of God. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. A disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, and he has been traveling and preaching this message of God all over America. He goes to India, he goes to Russia, and he has a lot of devotees and disciples almost all over the world.
Okay.
And we have a great privilege to
Sorry
hear
to
from
be
him
so much
today
trouble,
about the
but
science
help
of
with this
Krishna
mucus.
Bhakti. So let's welcome him.
Hey,
Haribo! 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 Haribo!
come on, say it like the Russians say it. Haribo!
Looks like you didn't have lunch today.
Yeah. Sorry I'm running a little bit late, but been a little sick lately. Jamal Haridas, he's a little sick. Arjun Sarthi, you were sick. You know, there's something that's going around, you know. We like to say that. Something's going around. So where do these things come from? These bad things. When you get sick, where does this come from? It comes from each other. Don't we? Where do you get it? You didn't get it from the cactus. It's not like you can go out in the front yard and plants start giving you all this. No, we get it from each other. Even if we're trying our best to avoid it, sometimes I see so many people wearing a mask still, you know? And I'm thinking, my first reaction is like, oh man, well, maybe they're really paranoid. You know, they're wearing a mask. Then I think, well, maybe they know something I don't. Maybe they're smarter than I am. Maybe I should be wearing this. I don't know. But one thing we do know is that we give these things to one another. So, is that right? We give these, what do you call them? We call them bugs, germs. Yeah. So, but we also, from time to time, will give somebody something good, won't we? It's infectious just as much as the bad germ. Ah, thank you. I got to drink some lemon water to. Wow, that's perfect. Who made that? She knows the. At least she knows the science. So, yeah, we give good things to each other from time to time, but sometimes, um, without knowing it, we will impart something bad. We don't even know it. I may have some germ, some sickness. And then I come to see you, I come to your house and I don't mean to. I would have never done it intentionally, but while I'm here, I give it to you. That's, I didn't mean to, but that's what we do. So typically, in a almost perfect world, uh, we only give things that are good intentionally to people, right? I mean, I'm looking around this room. I don't see anybody here that's, I would even think, capable of doing bad intentionally to someone. Is it? I don't think any of you are like that. It's not in your heart to do that intentionally. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to his house and I'm going to do something bad. I'm going to make him sick or hurt him in some way. You see? So we may think like that, uh, but we do. People do hurt each other. And we see a lot going on in our world. Uh, this American world is, even though it's a very wonderful country, I think we'll all agree this America is a good place. How many of you here have been to other countries? Well, almost everybody. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, America rates kind of high. I'm not going to say, oh, it's the very best. In some ways, it is. But I got to tell you, it's a little scary. Being from a guy that spends half his time in India every year, I'm kind of looking forward to getting to India. You know what I mean? It's just not a violent place, isn't it? You've spent what? You spent out of a 3-year period or something like that. You spent a year there, didn't you? Or close to a year with me? Yeah. So I mean, you get to know it's not a violent place. Wow. It's kind of violent around here and other places. So why do we do this? Why do we intentionally want to hurt somebody? Let's analyze that. Why would I want to intentionally hurt you? Why? I have desires. And I may not realize it, but I'm driven by my desires. Sometimes that's good because it'll make me successful in my business. I'll work hard and to protect my reputation. I'll be honest and straightforward and do it professionally. I'm driven by my desires to succeed. So, and I think that's very good. Along with that, though, sometimes we see that my desire to succeed will cause me to do something nasty because you got in my way. You. Again. You see, now I'm that do good guy that wouldn't harm a fly. I'm good to everybody. You ever heard somebody tell you, I'm a good person? Some people say, yeah, I'm a good person, but I am so long as you don't interfere with what it is that I'm trying to do. I want to do something and you're in my way. So, and I can get pretty crazy with that feeling. You're in my way, so I'm going to have to harm you in some way.
Have to get in their mind the threat that person going to take my position, and then they want to preemptively put that
Right. Uh, and I'm talking about some of the craziness that's gone on lately. You know, uh, Dr. Sean had a post about what was it? When will we be outraged? There's a picture of that young lady that was murdered on the train. You know, Irina. Yeah. Where is that? Yeah. You know, when I saw that, there was a million things that I wanted to reply to that, but I thought, I would, because that's something. Yeah. Well, where is the outrage? Should we be outraged? Uh, I know some people from the Ukraine, and so I don't know why. There's a Ukrainian uh, boy who lives in Russia now, but he wants to become initiated. Uh, Very wonderful person. All of those people that I've met are just like the rest of us. Well, they're very wonderful, very nice people. You see, and so it's very hurtful to see someone who comes here to take shelter, and instead we give them this. You know, not only am I not going to give you shelter, but I think I'm going to have to kill you. Uh, so this doesn't make sense, does it? We're all good people. I look around and I see these faces, and as you live as many decades as I have, you kind of get the ability, somewhat, to look at people's face, especially if you can see the eyes. And Super Soul will tell you something about them. I'd like to say, I know, but I know Krishna's telling me this person is. So you see, good, but packaged within that good that we all have is a certain amount of not so good, right? Because we see people can misbehave. They do it all the time. They do crazy things on the freeway. That ever happen to you when you're driving? Somebody does something really dumb. You ever see people? I was in Dallas. I lived in Dallas for 26 years. Dallas is typical big city. It's got these big freeways. It's like, I don't know what, 8, 10 lanes going each way, you know. And so in rush hour, traffic is backed up. And it's just craziness. And sometimes I had a guy one time that was, I don't know, I didn't intentionally, but I think I might have cut him off. I didn't mean to, you know, but I did. And he got very upset, and he wanted to fight. He wanted to, here we are in the middle of the freeway, 4 lanes of traffic on this way, 4 lanes of traffic on this way going on. So how are we going to fight? So he says, get off up there, get off the next exit. I'm going to beat you. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm not going to get on that. Oh, no, you're a chicken. Then okay, then I'm chicken, but I'm not going to get off and fight you. And then, how traffic is. It comes and goes like that. He's beside me, then this lane slows, and he goes, then it slows, and then here I am aside from again, and he's. And so the only thing I could think of, Super Soul is telling me, calm down, this guy. And I just looked at him and I said, I am so sorry. Please forgive me. And then the traffic moved. He's behind me. And I'm thinking, I wonder if that guy's going to hope he doesn't have a gun. So then the traffic goes, and here he is beside me again. He says, I am so sorry. Get off up here, the next exit. I want to buy you a beer. He changed. He just like that. He wanted blood. He wanted my blood. And all I said is, look, I'm sorry. Can you please forgive me? I'm so sorry. I didn't know what it was. And he says, no, you're a good guy. You made my day. He's holding back tears. So now, if you rewind his day, maybe he was having some difficulty at work. You know, maybe he had one of those supervisors that's impossible to live with, you know. Maybe he just got fired. Maybe his company was going out of business. Maybe he's having difficulties in his relationship. I don't know. So, but it really wasn't me that made that guy want to fight. It was everything, all this baggage that he's carrying. And all of a sudden, he sees me as an outlet for that. So we do things like that. I'm willing to, if I'm having a bad time with him, and maybe her too, because you know how they stick together. If I'm having a bad, I may try to unload it on you. You know, I'm not really mad at you. You didn't do anything, but I'm mad at. Maybe they didn't do anything, but I perceived that they are, or I'm perceiving that they will do something. You see what I mean? This is illusion. We're living in an illusory world like this. So, why is this even possible? We're human beings, and we have higher intelligence. Of the intelligence on the material platform that's available in this material world, you've got 100%. You have human brain. We're smarter than a fish, smarter than a squirrel, smarter than a rattlesnake, smarter than a monkey. You see, we're the top of the thought chain. And still we think like this, kid. Now, why is it, if we're so smart, why is it even possible for us to think on that animal level? I want to hurt you. I want to kill you. I want to kill you because I disagree with what you say. So I'm going to, you see, how can that human brain process like that? So what we generally do is we dehumanize other people. This is what Adolf Hitler did with the Jews. He convinced people that they were less than your common German. They're less, not by a lot, but by a little. And the first thing that Adolf Hitler did when he was in power was to get the government to agree to not let the Jews swim in a public swimming pool. That's all he said. He went before their Congress. That's all I want. Let's just, we're not going to pick on them. We're not going to do anything mean to them. Let's just separate them. They can't bathe with us in the swim. Can we do that? Okay, we'll do that. That was the first step. And over a little bit of time, it got to be where we can kill them in the street. We dehumanized them, you see. So this is the process that we do. Now, how is it even possible for us with these human brains to think like that? See? It's because we have no understanding of one another. I don't know. I may think I know who you are, but I don't really know what you are. And if I did, that would change my thought. And if everybody in the world knew what we all were, well, that would stop the violence right away. We could stop it in a heartbeat. But to do that, we have to give knowledge. We have to give Gita wisdom. How many people here do not have, does anybody not have, do we have extra Bhagavad Gitas in case someone needs one? Huh? Does anybody here not have Bhagavad Gita? Because I'd like to give you one if you don't. Because this book delivered by my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, can actually purify the entire world. It's actually doing it. One soul at a time is being purified. We're actually, for more than 50 years, I've witnessed this happen. I've witnessed it 50 years. So we need to see that everyone gets this Gita wisdom. And so I didn't give you the title. Usually I give the title of the class up front. I didn't give it because I thought maybe you'd jump ahead. So the title is Getting to Know You Inspires My Love for You. If the more I love you, the more I know you, the more I love you. It makes it possible. Now, I'm not talking about knowing that that you like Italian food, or you prefer deep dish pizza to thin crust, or you like the Wildcats, or you like the Yankees. It's not a lot of people think that, gee whiz. Two people met. I've seen this for so many years. Many years ago, I was in the business world, and you meet people, and right away they start to want to know about you. They ask questions, They're looking for commonality, something about you that I can like, If you're going to sell me something or perform a service, I'd like to know something more about you. Where'd you go to school? You ever notice that? People ask you this. Hey, where'd you go to school? How about them Cowboys? I was in Texas. They always want to know. Did you see the game? When's it Monday night? Did you see the game? Well, I didn't, but I would say it was incredible, wasn't it? I didn't want to lie, I want to say, no, I didn't. Wow, it was really incredible. And then let them talk for 20 minutes about how Troy Aikman threw the pass and all this stuff is going on, So they're looking for commonalities. You like the Dallas Cowboys? I like the Dallas Cowboys. You like deep dish pizza? So do I. What's that? You like to go to Oregano's, or what is that other place you were telling me about you were telling me about some place that, yeah. So, wow, you like that. Now I know enough about you for me to like you. What's that? Who did you vote for? All right, all that's gone. I hate you. As a matter of fact, based on that, you probably think this, and you probably think that, and I think I want to kill you. Now, am I being melodramatic, or is this the reality of this world that we find ourselves in right now? Is this true?
Sometimes, not all the time.
Not every minute of every day. It's like a volcano. They don't erupt every minute of every day, but when they do, it's devastating. So it's there. How do we take that away? How do we remove that element completely? I have to give you Gita wisdom. I have to give you words spoken by Krishna for all of us, for all of our benefit. And it's just it has the same effect. If I can touch your soul with my soul, I can change you. If you can touch my soul with your soul, you can change me. You can get me back to the realization, the thought process of something beyond a human being. That part and parcel of Krishna that you are. When I see that in you, I can't help but love you. You're a part and parcel of the Supreme. You're a part and parcel of Krishna. So if we can just remember these things, we can navigate this world not only peacefully. Peace is it's what do they call it when it's over? Overrated. Peace is overrated. I mean, you can say, all right, I just need some peace, leave me alone. Okay, all right, so stop that. You're making me crazy. Stop. I need the peace. Turn down your music or whatever it is. And the rest of you do all whatever it is. I've dealt with this for over 50 years. I just need peace. All right, so once you get peace, now what? So now that there's peace, we can actually communicate with each other without that disturbance, from the material world. So, what does Krishna say about all this? How can Krishna's words help us? So, I'm going to read Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 7th verse. Krishna says, Mavaimavam so jiva loke jiva bhutaha sanatanaha manaha indriyani prakriti shtani harshiti. Krishna says the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So there is the answer right there. Krishna says that all of the living entities in this material world are eternally my fragmental parts and parcels. How can I want to do any harm to someone or something that is a part of the Supreme? The source of love. If you want peace, the source of peace. If you want knowledge, he's the source of knowledge. You see? If I don't see you as a part and parcel of Krishna, then I can convince myself through the aid of my mind that you're lower than me, lesser than me, and I get to decide whether I even let you live. Maybe I don't even think you're worth living. But if you're part and parcel of Krishna, wait a minute, I can't. So immediately there's respect, isn't there? Oh, look at this. Do you see who's here? Part and parcel of God is here. I should offer some respect. You see? So this turns things around, doesn't it? I see that you are part and parcel of my beloved Krishna. Even if I don't love God, let's just say that I recognize you as part of God. Then at least I need to respect you. If I love God, even I love a little bit, then I have to love you a little bit because you're a part. You see? I can't say, no, I love the Supreme. I don't love you. You see? So this is all due to ignorance, lack of knowing. We don't know. And we move so fast in this material world driven by the senses and our mind and our desires. We move so hard and so fast trying to get what we want and we're taught. I remember in business, sometimes I was taught that you need to be prepared to go over, under, around, or through anyone or anything that gets in your way. Now get out there and sell our product, meet your quota, harumph, Or if we were military, okay, now get out there and kill the enemy. Whatever it is I'm trying to get you to do, our desires are pure. Have you noticed that? Like there's more than that, but there's two big parties in America. In India, do they have two parties? Huh?
300 political parties.
I know, but they don't seem to fight all the time. I mean, they argue, but they're not. I mean, it's like in West Bengal, the communists. They were in charge for a long time, and they were kind of a pain in the neck. But then they weren't in charge, and now they're back. But they're fine. I asked the locals in Mayapur.
There's a lot of violence.
Yeah.
There is violence.
But it's not like so much the violence here. But there is. Yeah, there is. Maybe I just don't see it enough. 300. How many dialects are there in India? 260, I think. More than we know.
2,000.
Yeah. We haven't counted them all. But in this chaotic world, if we want to make things line up, if we want shanti, if we want peace, if we want to be happy, and Krishna says, how can there be happiness without peace? If you want to be happy, you're going to have to get peaceful first. Krishna gives us that secret. I've asked people for so many decades now. So you want peace? What are you going to do once you get it? No, I just want it. No, you want that so that you can take that step into happiness. Because peace is the doorway to get into happiness. Not getting your desires fulfilled, because you don't know. We don't always know. What having our desires fulfilled is, sometimes it doesn't work out, right? You think, wow, I wanted this, but now that I have it, I really wanted that. So we have to remember, and we have to teach people, everyone we meet. And we do that by being what we read in Bhagavad Gita. Be Krishna conscious. Be conscious of Krishna. Be conscious of your relationship with Krishna. We've got to think of Krishna. How often does Krishna request that we think about him? Always. I mean, Krishna doesn't, it's not like sometimes in a business contract, there's fine print. You heard the fine print or the devil is in the details, they say, Well, no, Krishna doesn't hide anything. All right, Krishna, what do you want? I want all of you. I want your every thought. I want you to always think of me. Offer me your worship. Now that sounds like he's being a little, I don't know, all up inside himself, right? Huh? That sounds like a heck of a request, isn't it? Hi, I'm Krishna. I want you to think of me all the time. Whoa. So, well, what makes you want me to think of you all the time? I want it for your good. He doesn't need us to think of him all the time. Krishna doesn't need anything. He doesn't need any reassurance that, oh, you're a really good God. You're my favorite God. He doesn't need any of that. But he wants us to think of him all the time. Because if we do, we'll get closer to behaving when we're thinking about Krishna. Especially if you can remember that you are part and parcel of Krishna. You are his very part. Now that ought to make you feel better about yourself. If you've got any problems with yourself, if you can come to that realization that you are part and parcel of Krishna, that ought to make you feel pretty good. How good do you think it's going to make you feel if you can give that knowledge to someone else? And maybe they don't want to shoot you because of it, or they don't want to beat you up. You see? How good is that going to make you feel about yourself if you can touch a soul? I'm not talking about touching a heart, I'm talking about touching a soul. The soul owns the heart. We want to go beyond the heart. We're not limited by these material concepts and material thoughts. No, I want to get to the soul. I want to get to you. That's who and what you are. You are that soul, that part and parcel of Krishna. And I need to touch you. I want your embrace. If we can think like that with everyone, you're going to feel a lot happier. You're going to have a better life. Someone may shoot you. More than once, I've had a gun pulled on me, but that was back many decades ago and kind of a crazy land far away, So, but they didn't. Somehow or other, Krishna decided to save me. So you still may get in trouble if you're going around seeing everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. It's still, you still might run into some difficulty, but then it's going to be Krishna's desire. You see, I'm his servant. So let's let Krishna have his desire. If he wants me to be protected, no one can hurt me. If he wants me hurt, no one can protect me. So I'm with Krishna all the way. I'm just his part and parcel. That's all. And so are you. And that makes you very, very wonderful. It doesn't matter what color your body is or what gender your body is. None of these things matter. These things that we argue about and things that we go to war over, these things are material, temporary things, and they don't matter. Nothing matters. You'll feel a lot better. We want independence. We want to taste our independence. And as a part and parcel of Krishna, we have all the attributes of God. One of those is independence. Nobody's as independent of Krishna as Krishna. You're part and parcel. You have some independence too. Now, why can't you have full independence? Why can't I have full independence from God? It's because this microphone cannot be fully independent from electricity to work. If you unplug it, it doesn't work. It depends on the power of the electricity. So do we. For us to work, for us to function, for us to exist, we need that flow of energy from the source of energy. We need that. We just have to realize that. I depend on you, Krishna. You've given me the perception, which turns out to be a little bit of independence. And you give me that so that I'm not a prisoner. And if I'm not a prisoner and I'm independent, I can reject you or accept you. I can go towards you or away from you. I can be in love with you because I'm not forced to. See? If I love the Supreme, then I must love all of his parts and parcels. The Prabhupada liked to say, love me, love my dog. So this is the key. This is and it's infallible. If we spread this consciousness, first of all, we're not going to spread it until we can live it. We have to live this philosophy. If you're living it, maybe in the beginning we have to pretend. But after some time of living this concept that I am a part and parcel of God, and so are you, after some time, I start to fully believe it and fully understand it. Just like if I think I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat, I'm neither. I'm a part and parcel of Krishna. You can't put a label on a part of God and say, you're part of God. Well, I think you're a communist. No, you're a part of God. Now, you may think you're a communist, or you may think you're this or that, but then you're an illusion. You've been overcome by the material energy. You forgot who you are. You forgot who I am. You forgot how we relate, and you've forgotten how to love. You're so far away from the source of love that you don't remember what it is. And therefore, in the absence of love, there can be hate. You see? So we have to remind people. We have to let people know. We have to demonstrate it. And we have to get people to act on that understanding that we're all part and parcel of Krishna. We may disagree. So what? Well, if I disagree with you, it may cost me some money. How much? Is it worth being disrespectful to you? You know, is that what Krishna wants me to do? Are we concerned what Krishna wants us to do? Or are we just concerned of what Krishna will do if I do something that he doesn't want me to do? Are we concerned? We should be. If we get to know him better, we will be concerned. Not out of fear, but out of love. My dear Lord, did I misbehave when I dealt with that person? Have you ever felt like that, haven't you? I mean, we all have. My dear Lord, was I out of line when I said this or when I behaved this way? It matters to me, my dear Lord, how you feel. It matters to me. Okay? If it matters to you how God feels about you, well, then you'll probably behave nicely with everyone. So we have to give this Gita wisdom to everyone. You have to understand who and what you are. You're an ambassador of the Lord. Not that we should be puffed up. Well, I'm an ambassador of God. You know, no, we shouldn't think like that. Along with that understanding comes a great responsibility. You know, it's just like, I don't remember why, but oh yeah, I do remember why. One of the ambassadors from the UK, I think, was just recently fired. You know, Britain fired one of their ambassadors because he had some involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, this Epstein thing that's been going on. So they discovered that he had that, and they thought, well, you're not proper to represent us, so you're fired. So we should think like that. Am I behaving properly to be an ambassador for the Supreme? I am. You all are. We all are. Are we behaving? Are we living up to our own standard of who and what we are? If we do, then we're going to be a magnanimous personality. People will be very attracted to you if you can behave in a godlike manner, Krishna conscious manner. So I think I should probably pause and see if there's any questions, comments, discussion.
It's so nice to remind ourselves that we're part and parcel of Krishna and others, but sometimes it's very difficult to see people like that. You know, like we analyze, like Maya, material energy is so staring you in the face, and we immediately, see them for their body. How do we really develop seeing people like that, and then like not just intellectually, but actually feeling it or having some vision of it?
We're in this material world, and we all have several things in common. Like we all need water, we all need oxygen, we all need certain nutrients and whatever. But we're all walking through a path that's full of thorns. This material world, there's thorns here and thorns there. This is not well, it is kind of like a rose garden. You know, have you ever heard somebody say, I never promised you a rose garden? Well, I mean, this is a rose garden. We've got the flowers, we've got the aroma, we also have the thorns. So we just have to understand that people are hurting. Why are they hurting? Because they're ignorant. I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm saying they don't know. There's lack of knowledge. And, no matter how we try to not care, that's not going to work. You're going to have to care. We care. I can't just not care about you and your suffering, turn a blind eye. No, I have to focus on it. I can see and offer whatever help I can. The biggest help that I can give you, anybody, any living entity, is right there in those 700 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. That's the best help that we can give anybody. What is it they say in the Bible? Teach a man, give a man a fish. How does that go? Yeah, give him a fish and he can eat for one day. Teach him how to fish and he'll eat the rest of his, so we need to teach people how to think. But I don't want to do that. I want to go have fun. I have desires. I want to enjoy. Why should I care about the rest of these people? I only care about people who live with me or around me. And only broaden your scope. All living entities are my brothers and sisters. All of them, not just the human beings. So we have to be prepared to care. And it's going to cause us some hurt. This material world is not a place that you come to fully enjoy. We think it is. We think we're going to come here and enjoy separate from Krishna. And so Krishna gives us some perceived enjoyment. But then being away from Krishna causes us to suffer. See? And we're not going to get to the point to where there's going to be no more suffering in this material world. But you know what? It doesn't have to affect you. It doesn't have to bother you. And we all need to get that way. We all need to get there at some point because old age is coming. You're going to have to deal with suffering. It's going to happen. No matter if you have insurance or money. There was just a story that I read about somebody who was very, very wealthy, a billionaire. And he died just like that. I'm thinking even billions. Time of death, it's over, it's time to go. Or you may have billions, lots of property, many followers, and then you die. You don't wake up tomorrow. So this material world is not here for you to fix. It's here for you to survive, get out of. This lifetime, you need to leave and take as many with you as you possibly can by giving them this knowledge. Let's all go. Let's get out. We're not going to fix this place. It's like sometimes people, they get on a soapbox about the environment. Save the planet. What can you do to save the planet? Just how strong do you think you are? The planet is independent from us. We're like I remember one time somebody gave me an orange and I was thinking, oh, this really looks good. This is before my teeth were so bad that it hurt to eat oranges. So I was looking forward to eating it. So, and I was traveling. So I put it like on the seat of my car and I drove, a day or so. And I got to where I was going to spend the night and I'm thinking, I'm going to go eat that orange now. And I picked it up and it was all covered like there was a spot. It had this mold on it, blue mold. I was like, yuck. So that's what we are. We're like a mold on this planet. We're not affecting this planet. It may look like we are. You may make your neighborhood and where you live so polluted that you can't live here anymore. You may do that. But when we all leave at the end of Kali Yuga, when there's going to be another creation, a very expert cleanup crew comes in here and makes it all pristine again. First of all, you can't destroy it, no matter how powerful we think we are. We could have this unlimited Well, it wouldn't be unlimited. It would be a limited nuclear war and kill all of us. But then it would all settle and the trees would grow. The water would be pure. You know? Yes, Prabhu.
Does Krishna also not say that to Arjun that don't give this knowledge to everybody?
Don't give it to those who are
Do-
envious. That's what he says. Yeah, it's not something you give to the envious because they'll try to misuse it. You know, for the purpose of spreading this movement in this age of Kali, as descendants of Lord Chaitanya, we take that chance. We're willing to take that chance. You may be envious. I may give you this knowledge, and then you may want to harm me. But I'm going to do it anyway. If Lord Chaitanya wants to protect me, I'm safe. You see? So yeah, that's a good point. We have to be. So what you can do is you give it maybe little bits. Little bits, drops as they need it. I remember when I was in business, I had some positions. I was in, vice president of sales and director of marketing. It was so long ago I can hardly remember. But I remember being in a conference. We had to make some important decisions that had to do with profitability of the company and people being able to keep their jobs. And I had to make a point that we need to do this. Why? And so I would be thinking of a verse that Krishna says something in Bhagavad Gita. Well, I can't tell everybody, well, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this. They would say, oh, that's religious. You're talking about God. That means nothing. Now you're completely discredited because you're bringing God into it. This is Kali Yuga. God is the last thing you bring into the situation. It's upside down. So I would say, I once read, and then I would quote Krishna. People would say, oh, why, that's genius. Oh, that's amazing. And sometimes I wanted to quote my spiritual master. I wanted to quote Srila Prabhupada. And I would say, a great man once said, and I would quote Prabhupada. People would say, oh, that's amazing. Great. Now, if I said my guru said, there was, here you go with your guru, God thing. No credibility. See? What did I say? See, sometimes you just give them enough to help them in that moment. Sometimes you'll have the opportunity to change somebody's life right at that very minute. Typically, it'll take a little bit longer. Krishna may make you work for it. You really care for them? You want to save them? Show me. I'll touch their heart for you. You show me how much you want it. So, all right, Krishna, you're worth it. Does that answer your question? Yes. Dr. Sean. I think you had one too. Hold on.
Facts can be, they can hurt sometimes. And sometimes when people give us their truth, we can become offended by the truth. And when you were speaking to, being very discerning who we give Krishna to because of that level of envy, would you say that this a very tragic example would be what happened a couple of days ago with Charlie Kirk? Here he was in that auditorium, really 99% factual, even though it sucks. And then someone who was offended by that became envious and decided to. So I really hear that with how you're saying that in that instruction to be incredibly discerning in terms of the reality that we're dealing with. It's like, as you wonderfully pointed out, there's a medicine, there's a cure. But it just feels like the majority does not want that, and they want to stay in their own bubble of what they've created as true, and so it feels very
They want to stay in the bliss of their ignorance. When the mentality shrinks more and more towards the animalistic level, then anger comes in very early in the discussion. More because they're completely in the modes. They're in the mode of passion, maybe a combination of mode of passion and ignorance, and you're trying to give them knowledge. So, in some parts of the country, they may say, well, you trying to say you know more than I do? Do you think you're better than me? Right? All of a sudden, they're right back. They're on the bodily platform. Why it's your schooling versus my schooling, or how is the world going to see you? Or are they going? Are you? I think everybody was seeing me as so intelligent, and now you're making me look bad in front of all my friends. So I don't think I want to hurt you so much. So when we're in ignorance, in the mode of ignorance, in the mode of passion, it's just a heartbeat away from going further into that animal mode. What do they call it? Fight or flight. Yeah. They're really close to that. So sometimes people do it on the spot. Some people plan it. Well, I hate this person. How can you hate that person? Never met that person. Well, I hate what they're saying. And I don't believe that they have the right of free speech. First Amendment only applies to us, not them. Or whatever. I don't know. They have it used to be, I remember when I was young, I was at one time, believe it or not, I can't hardly remember it, but I remember people saying in America, it was a common thing when somebody said something that people disagreed with, some stand-up guy would say, well, I disagree with what you're saying, but I'm willing to die for your right to say it. Of course, they probably weren't willing to die for it, but that's the feeling. That's what it was un-American to say, well, we've got to silence you. No, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So, I think a lot of that's going on. And another thing, it could be that sometimes if you encounter someone as you're stripping away their ignorance by giving them some knowledge, you may make them see how ignorant they are a little bit. And that taste is not good. And so I've got to silence you. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to beat you up. I'll shoot you. I'll do something. But and maybe nobody else has recognized it, but you're thinking, oh, other people may be seeing how ignorant this guy's making me look. Does that make any sense? Good questions. Oh, this is a good question. Can I go to him first? Because he was over there. I've been neglecting him, but I won't forget you. How could I forget you? Because I think you're part and parcel of Krishna, and I don't want to offend you.
I'm not so sure if it's part and parcel, Guru. Just kidding. I know you're part and parcel of Krishna. But back to the whole fish thing. I just wanted to say it doesn't really say anywhere in the Bible about teaching a man to fish. That Chinese proverb, but
oh, really?
Yeah.
See, there's a few
and it was
things
in an
like
English
that.
book too. But there's things like that in the Bible that are even more closely are hitting the point that I think you're making, because Jesus, he was out there on the lake with Peter, and Peter couldn't catch any fish. he told them to go out into the middle of the lake in the daytime when it's hot. And that's when there aren't any fish. That's why they're fishing at night. That's why it's called the day. All the fish are way deep downward. It's cold at that part of the day. No one can fish. That's when Jesus told them, go out, cast your nets. And then they were so full, the boat was going to tip over. They had to send another boat out to help. And Jesus didn't do any of that so that people would eat fish. He did it to make a point to Peter, because that's when after that he said, follow me. Abandon everything in your life. Follow me. I will make you fishers of men. I'm going to teach you how to go out there and win souls for the Lord. That's much better than anything you can be doing out here on this lake. And he also said to Simon Peter, after he denied him 3 times and he was trying to get Jesus to forgive him, he said, do you love me, Peter? He says, yes. Feed my sheep. And they asked him again, do you love me? He says, yes. Take care of my sheep. And he said things like, if you come to heaven and then you didn't take care of the sick, you didn't visit people in prison, you didn't feed the hungry, I will say, when I was sick, you didn't take care of me. When I was in prison, you did not visit me. When I was hungry, you did not feed me. So, Jesus had all these things about taking care of people, taking care of his flock, and you're taking care of him, which is kind of the whole Seva Narayana concept. And another thing that he said that goes back to something he said earlier, I wanted to ask about. I think he said that peace is overrated, but then we have this concept in the Gita about peace being a prerequisite for happiness. And I always wondered about that, because I like a lot of people, Christian, whatever religion you are, they're searching for peace. But one thing I love, Jesus says in the Bible, he said, I didn't come to bring peace. I came to set this world on fire, and I wish it were already ablaze. And that resonates with, a lot of times following God means there's not going to be peace. There's going to be struggle. There's going to be people who are against you, and you have to weather that storm. And so is the peace Jesus.
Let me interrupt there, if I may, or I'll forget. Yeah. You know why there's going to be a lack of peace? Because if you follow God, if you follow Krishna, the Lord Jesus, you're going to care about someone other than yourself. And if you care, you can be hurt. If I care about you and something bad happens, that can hurt me. And I don't care. It's just like right now, there are people. What was this guy's name that they just shot? Charlie Kirk. There are people, and I'm glad to see they're getting fired, because they say things. I don't remember. I only glanced at some of these, but they're saying things like, well, he got what he deserved or something like that. And so their employers are firing them because they don't want that to splash on them, So, but that, I want to go out in public and show as many people as possible that I don't care that he died. Some people say, well, I would have done it myself. So they're not hurting, are they? Because they don't care.
No compassion.
No compassion. If you take some of that compassion that belongs to you as part and parcel of the Supreme, you're going to care. And it's going to hurt. You're going to get hurt every day. It's not going to be a clear sailing. You team up with Krishna, there's going to be challenges. That's his kindness. That's his mercy. He'll help you think of him. He'll get you in and out of so many jams just to show that this is a partnership. You are my part and parcel, and I love you. He's going to shake you up. going to give you some difficulty, then he's going to take it away. And that's good. That's his kindness. Now, if we don't care about other people and I just care about myself, where is my shining? Am I going to get peace? Just because I don't care about your suffering, am I going to go through life with less pain, less suffering? Not at all. Not at all. Good point.
So what I'm wondering is it the peace that kind of we're against, that we talk about how in the Brahm Jyoti people go for shanti, they go for peace. It's boring. And the peace that Jesus said, I didn't come here to bring that peace, is that different kind of peace than the peace that Krishna talks about being a prerequisite to happiness? And if so, what does that peace look like?
I don't think I understand that last part of your question.
So the peace is a prerequisite to happiness, according to the Gita.
Krishna says so. How can
Okay.
there be happiness without peace?
So is that peace that he's talking about, is it different than the kind of peace that Jesus said he didn't come to bring? Because following God is going to bring.
Shanti is Shanti.
Okay.
But there's peace that comes and goes. I give you peace. All right, that's great. Okay, now give it back. Followed immediately by difficulty, disturbance. I give you peace, now disturb. The material world does that to you, and it's always done that, and it always will.
Is that so that we can learn to experience peace even though in those moments, that we can become unaffected by the material energies?
Yeah. What is it they say? The peace that passeth understanding. Does that have anything to do with what we're talking about? I remember in church, does anybody remember that? Peace that passeth understanding. Anyway. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I can't think of what you're saying, but I know there's many parts in the Bible where it talks about being at peace when there's pain in the offering.
What Jesus means is, I didn't come here to turn this world around and make everything peaceful and happy. You know, if you want that, you got to go home. You don't get that here. You'll get little tastes of it. You'll get enough peace to remind you of what it is and that it exists and that you don't have it. And then you'll get it, but then you're going to lose it. And if you don't like that, you need to go to a different place. You can go to the Brahm Jyoti, guarantee you'll get peace. But to step on up into love, well, now that's a little more difficult. Love is so underrated. We don't fully understand. We don't understand how important it is to us. You know, we think we do. We don't understand. That's why we need a little taste of bhakti. You get a little taste of loving Krishna, you can understand the value of love. And we're running out of time. I'm going to let him.
Thank you.
And then we need to wrap it up, don't we?
I want to say the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is very, very high. It's very important. And we have to be careful how we preach to people. And I love the way you preach. The other day, I was preaching to a friend of mine, not even preaching to him, but try to let him know Krishna is not only God, he's a Godhead. So, but before that, I was talking about the philosophy, everything, not presenting Krishna as a Godhead. So he was looking at me like that, like I know what you're talking about. So I let him know, I'm sorry to, I told him, I'm sorry to let you think I know better than you, but what I'm talking about is come from the Vedas, and the Vedas is a teaching of Krishna. It's no different than Krishna. He told me that. So he told me Shiva, I don't say the other name, Shiva, Brahma, etc., are the same. I say, no, Krishna is not only God, he's a Godhead. And the demigod you're talking about, they are God, they are demigod. So when I talking about the Godhead and when I explaining, I was presenting the Veda. I was not presenting my philosophy. That's where you understand. So that's the reason I say when we preach about Krishna consciousness, we have to be careful, don't try to presenting ourselves because people feel the ego. And because of that, and I saw so many among us, we think we are better than others. We know so many things. No, because by thinking like that, we don't presenting Krishna. We don't presenting Srila Prabhupada who's higher than us. So when I explain him, Krishna is not only God, he's Godhead. And the Vedas not come from me. I told him what I tell you is not from me. I let him know I don't know nothing. I'm very ignorant. So you understand what I was talking about.
So in other words, it's not me trying to dominate you.
Yes. That's why he was thinking like he told me, I know what you're talking about. He was looking at me like that. When I told him, I'm not the one who told him that. That's from the scripture.
Yeah.
I say myself, I'm very ignorant. I'm dumb. So I say that's true. I told you I don't talk out of humility, but everything I tell you now, that is thing I learned from the scripture, and now I understand God is not Krishna is not only God, is the Godhead. So if we're looking at Krishna as God, so we're going to think all the Krishna is the same level than the demigod, everything. No, he's a Godhead.
Yeah. And
So he could
sometimes
not understand when I told him,
sometimes people say like that. They'll say, well, what does your God say about this? Like, you've got a God.
yes,
Well, I've got a God, or maybe I don't have a God, or I don't believe in it. So you have a God, and what is your? No, it's the Godhead.
Godhead. That's right. That's what I was explaining. I say, for example, in the body, you have the head. I told him you have the head. So the head control everything. So I tell him Godhead, Krishna, who's the Godhead, is the head of all the demigods. God is the head of everything. So you understand? I give you the example. I say, if there is no head, everything is over. No arm.
Wait a minute. Are you sure about all this? Because a lot of times I find myself thinking, Krishna is just my best friend.
Mhm.
You ever have that happen to you? You don't think of him as God.
That's right.
You get familiar, when you're maybe doing some worship or something, and you think, oh, wait a minute, this is supposed to be God.
That's what Arjun thought, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but
just my
Krishna
friend.
can be Krishna can
Uh-huh.
be the any way you want. If you want to be your friend, he can be your friend. If you want to be your God, like in Goloka Vrindavan, they're looking at him like their friend. Because Krishna refused for his servant looking at him like God because he will not be no pastime. But Krishna is the Godhead.
Prabhupada mentions about this, but he says that think of it like a court where there's a king and then there's a prime minister.
Mhm.
There's a minister of education, minister of finance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, Krishna is
That's a good analogy, isn't it?
Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, but you're Prabhupada's man, so
Krishna can present himself the way you want, but he's still the Godhead.
yeah.
We still got to respect him because we are not, we are, we are, uh, conditioned. We are conditioned, so we are falling soul. But in the Goloka Vrindavan, they're looking at Krishna like a friend, but we are not at this level. So we have to looking at Krishna is God because we are nothing. We are conditioned soul. We took birth because of our karma, our nonsense.
But sometimes it's easy to forget that Krishna's
Yes.
God.
Yes. When we
You ever
become
find yourself when you get in some difficulty, feel some challenges, you say to Krishna, "Look, what do you want?" Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. And Krishna's probably like, hey, look, let the God thing go, okay? This is me here. If you need to see me as God, then you haven't made enough advancement. You need to chant some more Hare Krishna. Sometimes you think, what do you want from me, Krishna?
Right.
It's not an awe and reverential thing. You're starting to wonder, what is it? What do you want? All right, we should probably wrap it up. You're all so wonderful.